Hello, in this video we'll show you how to remove and maybe replace or repair the gearbox or transmission on Skoda Fabia 1.2 petrol engine. The transmission on this car is located on the side of the engine underneath the battery and the battery housing. It's located right there, so in order to get to it we need to remove the engine cover and the battery housing. And that's the battery housing out. Next we're going to remove the gear links that are attached to the transmission. We need 2 screwdrivers or maybe 2 pry bars, and just we need to pry them out. That's how they go out, they need to be pried out. That's one of them out. Now the second one is exactly the same. The second gear link is out as well. Next I'm going to pinch the brake fluid line that goes to the slave cylinder with the locking pliers, so that when I remove it from the slave cylinder there is no brake fluid dripping off. That's where the brake fluid line is attaching to the slave cylinder. There is a small metal clip that I need to pull out. We don't need to remove it completely, just partially, and then pull out the brake line. If the video is useful, please like and comment on the video and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. That's the brake line out. Now I'm going to put it to the side. Next I need to remove the starter motor. That's the starter motor right there. It's held by 2 bolts that I need to remove. Also I need to remove the solenoid cable and also the power cable, which are right there. Those 2, and the 2 bolts that holding the starter on the upper side and on the rear side. First I'll remove the power cable and the solenoid as well. On the upper bolt that's holding the starter, I need to remove first the nut holding the ground cable, and when I remove the ground cable I have access to the bolt for the starter. Now I'm going to remove that. Next I need to remove the other bolt for the starter motor, but we need to do it from underneath. So in order to get to it, first I'm going to remove this engine under tray, and then we'll get to the bolt. Now we have access to the bolt. That's the starter right there, and the bolt is on the lower side. There's again a nut before the bolt that holds one bracket. That's the nut right there that's holding that bracket. I need to remove the nut. I remove the bracket that's holding the couple of wires, and then I'm going to remove the bolt holding the starter. And that's the bolt out. Next I need to remove the starter motor. I'm going to take it out from the top. That's the upper bolt out for the starter, and I'm going to take out the starter. And that's the starter out. Next I'm going to remove the 3 bolts that are holding the gear link bracket. These are the 3 bolts, they're holding it to the transmission, so I need to remove them and then move the gear links to the side. There is an electrical connector right there that we need to remove just behind the bracket. Next we're going to start removing the parts on the underneath the car, on the bottom of the car. First we start by removing the wheel, the 2 wheels, and now we're going to be removing the 2 drive axles. The drive axles are held by 6 bolts on the inner side, 1 bolt on the outside, and also need to remove this ball joint. Next we're going to remove those 6 bolts right there. I'm going to put a screwdriver into the brake disc so that it doesn't, the drive axle doesn't turn while I untighten the bolts. After I untighten all the bolts, I'm going to use an electric ratchet to remove them. Next I'm going to remove the 3 bolts holding the ball joint. Now that I removed everything, I can take out the drive axle. Next, I'm going to remove this rear engine mount or transmission mount. It's held by 3 bolts, and then I'll take it out. That's it. Now I do the same on the other side. First I'm going to remove the wheel, and then I'm going to take out the drive axle exactly the same way as the other drive axle. And that's the other drive axle out. Next I'm going to put on this engine jack and catch the engine so that it holds it while I remove the gearbox. When this engine jack is holding the engine, I'm going to remove those 2 bolts on the transmission mount. I've already removed them, I don't have a video of that. And I'm going to lower the engine and transmission like that and remove the 2 other bolts holding the transmission mount, which are this one and on the other side. And those 2 on the top that I've already removed them, that I haven't made a video for. Now that the 2 bolts are out, now I can take out the transmission mount. Next I'm going to remove the bolt holding the transmission to the engine on top. That's the bolt right there. I'm going to go underneath this thermostat and coolant pipe to remove it. That's the bolt right there. After I remove that bolt, I'm going to start removing this wheel arch liner. It's held by 7 or 8 or maybe 10 screws that we need to remove. Now that the wheel arch liner is removed, we're going to remove this engine mount support, which is held by two bolts. Actually, the transmission mount support, that's the transmission mount that we removed earlier. It's held by those two bolts. We're going to remove them and take it out. There is also a couple of electrical connectors on the front that we need to disconnect, and then now we can start removing the bolts holding the transmission to the engine. But before removing that, we're going to need to remove this exhaust pipe, which is held by those three bolts, and also the two bolts on those two bolts right there that we also need to remove. We need to remove this exhaust pipe or just bring it to the side so that we can get to the bolts on the bottom of the transmission, which are right there. Next, I'm going to remove the three bolts for the exhaust pipe. If they don't want to turn, you might want to heat them up a little bit with a torch. I already heated them up, but haven't shown it. So now they're coming out easier. That's the exhaust pipe out. Next, I'm going to remove the electrical connector for the oxygen sensor, and I'm going to start removing the bolts on the bottom that exhaust pipe was in the way. So these are the bolts holding the transmission to the engine. These are the bottom bolts, and there is another two bolts that we need to remove that are on the two sides. When there is only one bolt left, make sure you put a transmission jack underneath the transmission so that it holds it before removing the last bolt. So that's one of the bolts on the side that we need to remove. It's right there. Right there, that's the bolt, and then there is another bolt on the other side. And the last bolt holding the transmission is right there. I already put a transmission jack underneath the transmission and got somebody to help me to remove the transmission. So now I'm removing the last bolt, and now I can take out the transmission. Before removing the transmission, make sure that you've removed absolutely everything holding on to the transmission, all the connectors and everything, and then take it out. When you're removing the transmission, you need to wiggle it a little bit and it will come out eventually. There might be a little problem taking it out on the inner side, on the rear side, where the drive axle is catching onto the transmission, right there, because this thing for the drive axle is a little bit wider, and you need to put it to the side in order to take it out. If you think it's stuck, just wiggle it a little bit more and it will come out eventually. And that's the transmission out. Now that the transmission is out, you can replace it or repair it, or even change the clutch or the flywheel, and maybe even the crankshaft seal, which is on the rear of the flywheel. And that's the clutch right there. It's held by 6 bolts if you want to replace it. Next I'm going to put the gearbox back on. When you put on the gearbox back on, make sure you first put it in on the rear side where this part of the drive axle that goes in. Make sure it goes in first, and then everything else will go into its normal position. When it goes in on the rear, then make sure all the holes for the bolts align, and you can push in the transmission and then put on the bolts. We can see that the transmission is gone in completely. Now we're going to tighten the bolts, and then we can assemble everything else in the reverse order. Hopefully the video was helpful. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and to see more videos like this.